Before I begin, I just want to apologize. My nose is extremely stuffy. I am getting over a cold, so my sinuses are not in the best place right now. But we're not here to talk about me. We're here to talk about the brand new OnePlus. And this is a device that's retailing for $699. This is the North American version. And it's hard to have a conversation about this phone because the Pixel 7 Pro is now being sold for $749. And depending on the type of person you are, there's features about the Pixel 7 Pro that you're gonna prefer over the OnePlus 11 and vice versa. Now, from a design standpoint, they look very, very different. You know, the OnePlus 11 has the circular Hasselblad camera bump on the back, which is kind of situated on the left-hand side, and it blends into the body with a metal silver frame, whereas the Pixel 7 Pro has a visor on the back. I know there's been a lot of reports of the glass breaking, so that is a concern, but I think visually this just feels more consistent. And when you have it on the table, for example, if you're not rocking a case, so for like the 3 individuals out there, it's just not going to move when you touch the device. Now, granted, I do find that the OnePlus 11 is more comfortable in the hand. Even though they share the same screen size of 6.7 inches, the width of the body is less than the Pixel 7 Pro, so one-handability is preferred using the OnePlus 11. Now, thankfully, and probably one of my biggest concerns when I reviewed the OnePlus 10T was that the alert slider was no longer there. Now, they did place the alert slider on the right-hand side, and every time I flick it into silent mode, the vibration motor kicks in, and the haptics on this device are just so good. Some of the best in the business. And don't get me wrong, the haptics on the Pixel 7 Pro are good too, but the OnePlus 11s just happen to be a bit better. But things change when you look at the display. They both share a 6.7-inch AMOLED 120 Hz display, but the Pixel 7 Pro does have a higher peak brightness, which will help out when you're looking at HDR content and of course when you're standing outdoors. So if that's something of concern to you, peak brightness on the OnePlus 11 is using an older panel. It can only go up to 1000 nits, which is still pretty good in today's standards. But when you're looking at the colors on the screen, even in adaptive mode, which is the punchiest mode on a Pixel 7 Pro, normal mode of the OnePlus 11 just has more vibrant colors. So if you're used to like a Samsung display, you're probably gonna like the OnePlus 11. Even if you put it on natural mode, it then becomes equal to the adaptive mode on the Pixel 7 Pro. The other thing to note is they both have 2 speakers for stereo sound. They do sound good on both devices, but I did find the OnePlus 11's sound to be a bit more airy and lack any high end, whereas the Pixel 7 Pro got a bit louder and just did a better job of balancing the sound overall. I will say though that the storage on this is extremely fast. We're talking about UFS 4.0, but the weird thing is the Type-C port on the bottom is only USB 2.0. On top of that, you're just using a faster processor. Like this Tensor chip, it's the 2nd generation on the Pixel 7 Pro, but if you look at the actual benchmarks, it pales in comparison to the majority of newer devices that are currently on the market. Now granted, if you're just doing normal everyday stuff, then you're not going to notice a difference, but I did find every once in a while I'd be scrolling up and down on the Pixel 7 Pro, and there was the odd micro lag. Is it terrible to the entire experience? Obviously not, but this is something I never experienced on the OnePlus 11. Unfortunately, there's still no official IP rating on the OnePlus 11. Like, it's supposed to be IP68, at least that's what they say in the background, but it's only rated for IP54, whereas the Pixel 7 Pro has a proper IP68 certification. Now, one thing that kind of took me back was that I asked you guys if you preferred wireless charging plus normal wired charging or just fast charging but no wireless charging. And the majority of you actually said fast charging, I don't care about wireless charging. That blew me away because I'm so used to wireless charging. I got a wireless charger beside my bed. I got one here at the office. Wherever I go, I just clunk down my phone, but it seems you guys would just rather charge your phone as fast as possible. And that continues to be the trend with OnePlus devices. Be fast, be quick, let's get going. And this new OnePlus 11 can charge up to 100 watts. So you can go from 1 to 50% in just 10 minutes or completely charge the device in 25. Whereas the Pixel 7 Pro obviously has slower charging, but you do get the benefits of wirelessly charging it. Now granted, the battery life on both of these devices are pretty equal, a little bit better on the OnePlus 11 because the chip inside of there is more efficient, so I was able to extend it a bit further, but These are easily full day phones, maybe a little bit into the next, so I don't have any major complaints there. Now, the one area where people will still prefer the Pixel 7 Pro is obviously the camera. It can take a telephoto picture up to 5 times compared to 2 on the OnePlus 11, and depending if you're outdoors or indoors, I found that the Pixel 7 Pro did a way better job of nailing the white balance. There were times that the OnePlus 11 would just make the photo look ridiculously yellow or just warm it up way too much. That was just unrealistic and sometimes even ruined the photo that I was looking at. And even though this didn't happen every single time, it was more than enough times that I just felt like this camera wasn't a consistent experience. Now, granted, there are pictures that the OnePlus 11 takes that I personally feel do look better than the Pixel 7 Pro. Sometimes they're a bit more punchier. It has that Samsung look. But I do find that this camera tends to be a little bit aggressive when it comes to sharpening. It just likes to sharpen up the image too much. And depending on what type of shot you're taking, this could ruin things, but it could also make the picture look better too. When it comes to the front-facing camera, the Pixel 7 Pro can shoot up to 4K 30 FPS, whereas the OnePlus 11 can only do up to 1080p. And the actual video quality on both of these devices are a little different. The Pixel tended to brighten up the image, overexpose it a little bit, and it would be very aggressive with the sharpening, whereas the Pixel 7 Pro was a little bit more realistic. Not perfect, not as good as the iPhone 14 Pro, but it just looked better overall. But the one area where they were trading true blows was when it came down to nighttime photography. The OnePlus 11 actually did a really good job, except for the one time where, again, the white balance was completely off. All right, so right now you're looking at the front-facing camera of the OnePlus 11 versus the Pixel 7 Pro. The OnePlus 11 looks good, but it's 1080p, and the Pixel 7 Pro you guys seen before. Based on just looking at the screen, my face is a little bit flat on both, but you guys let me know which one does better. Now, the software experience is gonna come down to personal preference, and I get it, OnePlus is getting a lot of hate for changing up the way Oxygen OS looks. I do see Color OS from Oppo coming through, and it's not the best look, okay? It's not something that I personally prefer, but I think a lot of people are taking it way too far. It still looks good enough. It still looks clean enough. It's changing the way the phone feels overall. At the end of the day, I still prefer the software on the Pixel 7 Pro. I think it just looks better, it functions better, and it's more cohesive with the actual device. Now, if you're a gamer, there's obviously no choice here. You go with the OnePlus 11. This is just a faster device. Frames were more consistent in the games I played on this phone compared to the Tensor chip that's inside of here. And if you're worried about overheating, that's not really a big issue with this phone either. It did get warm on the back, but I didn't find frames were dropping consistently. Overall, it does a very good job when it comes to performance. Now, which device should you buy? And it really comes down to a couple of things. Do you prefer speed over everything else, like having to have the fastest wireless charging, have to have the fastest processor, and you don't really care about the camera because, like, don't get me wrong, this is a great camera, but obviously the Pixel 7 Pros is a bit better. If that's you, save the 50 bucks, go for the OnePlus 11 instead. But if you prefer the Google experience and you want the better camera for actual photography and you need it to be a bit more consistent, then personally, I would go for the Pixel 7 Pro instead. Plus, you get the software experience that a lot of people tend to gravitate towards Pixels for. I hope that clears things up. If you have any more questions, let me know in the comment section down below. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one.